Welcome to Spectrum Sphere, where we dive into a diverse world of discovery, exploring topics that span science, history, art, and more. Today, we're delving into the complexities of the American Civil War. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to join our community and stay updated on our weekly content. In this segment, we're turning back the pages of history to the American Civil War, a tumultuous period that tested the very fabric of the United States. Between 1861 and 1865, this fierce conflict pitted brother against brother and nearly tore the nation apart. Stay with us as we explore the causes, key events, and lasting legacies of this pivotal moment in American history. As we delve into the American Civil War, it's essential to understand the historical context of the United States in the 19th century. The nation was rapidly expanding, yet deeply divided over issues including states' rights and, most critically, the institution of slavery. This division would ultimately lead to the secession of the Southern states and the onset of war. Slavery stood as the central issue dividing the nation, a deep-rooted conflict between the Northern abolitionist movements and Southern pro-slavery factions. This moral and economic divide over the right to enslave people of African descent was a ticking time bomb, setting the stage for inevitable conflict and the eventual strife of civil war. The election of 1860 became a pivotal moment in American history. Abraham Lincoln's victory, running on the Republican platform that opposed the expansion of slavery, sparked a profound response. His election was deemed unacceptable by the Southern slaveholding states, which saw it as a direct threat to their way of life and economies. In response to Lincoln's election, 7 Southern states chose to secede from the Union, claiming their right to govern themselves. This act of defiance led to the creation of the Confederacy, a new nation founded on the principles of states' rights, primarily to preserve the institution of slavery. The escalation of tensions between the North and South reached a fever pitch at Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor. On April 12, 1861, Confederate artillery opened fire on the federally held fort, igniting the conflict that would become the American Civil War. These first shots marked the point of no return for a nation deeply divided. The Confederate States of America, formed by the seceding Southern states, aimed to establish a new nation rooted in the principles of states' rights and the preservation of slavery. Jefferson Davis was appointed as its president, serving as the chief leader of a government seeking recognition and autonomy from the North. As we delve into comparing the Union and the Confederacy, it's important to note the stark contrasts. The Union, with its industrial strength and larger population, had a significant advantage in resources and manpower. Conversely, the Confederacy relied on tactical expertise and knowledge of the terrain, fighting a defensive war on familiar soil. 2 pivotal figures emerge at the helm of this divided nation: Abraham Lincoln, the determined president of the Union, and Jefferson Davis, the staunch leader of the Confederacy. Their contrasting leadership styles and decisions would come to define the course of the war and the fate of the American nation. As the Civil War raged on, 2 military leaders rose to prominence: Ulysses S. Grant for the Union and Robert E. Lee for the Confederacy. Their tactical brilliance and leadership qualities would leave an indelible mark on the conflict, shaping many key battles and ultimately the outcome of the war itself. After the initial skirmish at Fort Sumter, the first major battle erupted at Bull Run, where Confederate forces secured a startling victory. This clash demonstrated the war's potential ferocity and foreshadowed a long, grueling conflict ahead. It was clear that neither side would back down easily, escalating tensions to new heights. Naval warfare brought innovation to the Civil War, most notably with the introduction of ironclad warships, armored steam vessels that signaled a new era in naval combat. The Union's strategic implementation of a naval blockade aimed to suffocate the Confederacy economically became a critical component of their Anaconda Plan. Following the Union's naval endeavors, the Emancipation Proclamation emerged as a pivotal turning point. Issued by President Lincoln, it declared all slaves in Confederate-held territory free. While the proclamation didn't immediately free all slaves, it redefined the war's purpose and made abolition a central goal of the Union war effort. As the battles raged on, life on the home front was marked by profound change. Families grappled with shortages of goods and the absence of loved ones. Women stepped into new roles in factories and fields, while children too felt the war's impact, oftentimes aiding in war efforts. Meanwhile, women emerged as unsung heroes of the civil conflict. North and South, they managed farms, worked in factories, and provided for families amid scarcity and fear. Their courage extended to the battlefield, where they served as nurses, spies, and occasionally disguised themselves as soldiers. Across the Atlantic, Europe closely watched the unfolding strife with a mix of interest and concern. While many Europeans empathized with the Union's stand against slavery, others saw the Confederacy's struggle as a fight for self-determination. This complex view shaped international diplomacy and foreign policy throughout the Civil War. The transition for African Americans from the bonds of slavery to the ranks of soldiers was profound. The Emancipation Proclamation not only declared their freedom, but also allowed them to enlist in the Union Army, leading to over 180,000 Black men fighting for their liberation and the future of the nation. As the war raged on, two pivotal battles unfolded that would turn the tides for the Union. The Battle of Gettysburg, a 3-day bloodbath ending in a significant Union victory, and the Siege of Vicksburg, which split the Confederacy in half, marked the beginning of the end for the Southern Rebellion. In the aftermath of that bloody confrontation at Gettysburg, Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address, a speech that eloquently reaffirmed the nation's dedication to the principles of liberty and equality. With just a few brief remarks, Lincoln redefined the Civil War as a struggle not only for the Union, but also for the very meaning of freedom. Turning to strategy, the Union implemented the Anaconda Plan to cripple the Confederacy. This approach aimed to suffocate Southern resistance by blockading Southern ports and controlling the Mississippi River, effectively cutting off supplies and splitting the Confederacy in two. It was a slow but steady vice tightening around the rebellious states. As we delve deeper into Union tactics, we encounter General William Tecumseh Sherman's infamous campaign, known as Sherman's March to the Sea. It exemplified the concept of total war, where Sherman's forces advanced from Atlanta to Savannah, fiercely destroying military targets, infrastructure, and civilian property to break the South's will to fight. The ravages of the Civil War brought unprecedented challenges in medicine and healthcare. Field hospitals were overwhelmed, and diseases ran rampant. However, this period saw substantial advances with the establishment of the ambulance corps, improvements in surgical procedures, and the birth of modern nursing, led by figures like Clara Barton. As the war raged on, technological innovations began to reshape the battlefield. The introduction of ironclad ships revolutionized naval combat, while the use of railroads allowed for the faster movement of troops and supplies. The telegraph enabled swift communication, fundamentally changing military strategy and command. The American Civil War exacted a heavy toll, with an estimated 620,000 soldiers losing their lives and countless others wounded. Economically, the South was left devastated, its infrastructure ruined, and its agricultural base crippled by the freeing of enslaved people who had been integral to its economy. As the war grinded towards its final months, a significant turning point was the fall of Richmond. In April 1865, the Confederate capital was captured by Union forces, signaling the imminent collapse of the Confederacy. This momentous event underscored the fading hopes of the Southern cause and effectively marked the end of the Civil War. The nation's hope for a smooth reconciliation was shattered when, just days after Lee's surrender, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. The loss of Lincoln was a devastating blow to the country. His death plunged the nation into deeper grief and cast uncertainty over the already delicate process of Reconstruction. As the war drew to a close, we witnessed a pivotal moment at the Appomattox Courthouse. On April 9, 1865, General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant, effectively bringing an end to 4 years of bloody conflict. This surrender marked a significant step towards the restoration of the Union. With the Civil War's end, the nation embarked on a turbulent era known as Reconstruction. This period was defined by its efforts to repair the fractured Union, integrate freed slaves into society, and rebuild the devastated Southern economy. Despite the immense challenges, it was a time of significant constitutional change and social transformation. The legacy of the Civil War extends far beyond the 19th century, profoundly shaping modern America. Issues of race, civil rights, and regional identity remain at the forefront of national discourse. The conflict's lessons continue to inform our understanding of freedom, equality, and the enduring cost of division. Thank you for embarking on this historical exploration with Spectrum Sphere. If this journey through the American Civil War has enlightened or moved you, please show your support by liking and subscribing. Share your reflections down in the comments and join us again for more diverse discoveries.